Here we are then in one of the most important trade centres of the world, but for the next hour or so Singapore will be hosting the sound of the roar of Formula 1 as we get ready for the Psgl F1 Singapore Grand Prix round 9 of season 20. And well, our mini tour of Asia has been absolutely fantastic. The previous rounds at China and Japan delivering some splendid racing. And the championship, well, Ashbest extends his championship lead to 28 points, so he's currently on 98 points with VSR Lewis, who missed last week's race. He's on 70 points, and XJackLacey, CCbrain and Oogie Azeem making up the top 5. But let's talk about the absolute star of the show from last week's Japanese Grand Prix, and that is Michemery, who got pole position and the race victory on his Psgl F1 debut with an absolutely brilliant performance. And if he can repeat that sort of performance tonight, he's certainly going to give Ashbest something to think about. So we have more or less a full grid this evening, and Lewis has certainly returned, VSR Lewis, so he's going to look to get his title bid back on track. I believe our only absentee tonight is Npyne, so it's a shame he's not racing here tonight, but we have plenty of great drivers out there for you. So Singapore, since 2008, Formula 1 has hosted races around the Marina Bay street circuit. It's always been a grueling test of driver skill, but also concentration, because unlike most race circuits which have lots of laps which are relatively short, this one is one of the longest on the calendar, yet we have to do 31 laps of this particular circuit for 50% race distance. Of course, we have our 12-minute qualifying session first, and the ever-present threat of rain very much at this track, so don't be surprised to see wet conditions perhaps in one or at least both the qualifying session and the race itself. So a warm welcome to those of you who have already joined in the chat. Let's just have a look. I see Ashbest as usual. He's going to be listening in as he's racing. Abiodun, and then we've got JPTV and a few others as well. So it's possible we may not get as big an audience as normal because of the official esports event going on this evening. But hey, I appreciate every single person who watches this throughout. Hopefully we will get another fantastic race. The battle in particular between Ashbest and Cliffy really brought back good memories of that epic title decided from last season, didn't it? They went side by side several times through the opening S-curves, but now we go away from Japan and focus. Hold on, sorry, just got a message which was a bit weird. Okay, so let's focus on the Singapore circuit. 23 corners then, 2 DRS zones. The activation point for the second DRS zone, which is on the main straight, is just before the end of turn 22, and then the first DRS activation zone just after turn 4, and then it is between turn 5 and 7. So those would be two of the main overtaking opportunities. Now I suspect, given Formula 1's sort of likeness of adding third DRS zones, I think we will get a third DRS zone between turns 13 and 14 when we get to the real thing in F1 2018, because that looks like the only other area where they may have a DRS zone. Maybe turn 9 and 10, but it's not quite as long as between 13 and 14, the hairpin up to the end of sector 2. So it's going to be interesting to see if they make a decision on that. So it is dry conditions then, splendid night conditions. The cars look so spectacular under the street lights. And even though not every Singapore Grand Prix has been a great spectacle in real life in terms of the races, and indeed on Psgl, seeing the cars going around at night is such a thrill. I skipped it just in time. It's only if the F1 logo appears. So we have 19 races out there. So the fight for pole is going to be particularly intense. Very important, just as a lot of street circuits. It is very difficult to overtake here, although I would say less difficult to overtake here than a track like Monaco, for example. And I still think the walls here are a bit less forgiving, or more forgiving rather, than the likes of Baku and Monaco. Now setting up this track is a mixture of, you know, high downforce for the technical section of sector 3, and then the high speed sector 1, and sector 2 is sort of a mixture of technical and sort of pure speed. So let's just have a look at Abiodun in a moment. And then we'll also just quickly discuss the Constructors' Championship situation. So McLaren have a healthy advantage at the moment, 32 points for AMS and Ashbest from the nearest rivals, who are VSR Lewis and Michemery on 95 points, 127 for McLaren. And then making up the top 5, 79 points for XJackLacey and Big C for Mercedes, 60 points for the Williams pairing of CCbrain and Greeny, and the Sauber pairing of Oogie, Azeem and Wocko on 52 points, making up the top 5, and in the battle to avoid the wooden spoon, Ferrari find themselves bottom at the moment. So hopefully Lordyboy and Abiodun can do a bit better this evening and get off the bottom of there. They're just 2 points behind the Red Bull pairing of Joelianomanu and Paudie, and we've got yellows in sector 2 already. So someone had a bit of an off early on, just trying to see who that is, but no real sign. The yellows have been cleared. So did Ashbest make his customary gallop from the pit lane? We shall just have a look. He's going for the hairpin now. Look, there's a Haas right behind him. And no, it looks like Ashbest is not the first car out on track. So I'm going to see who that is. It looks like one of the Toro Rossos, actually. So let's have a look. And this is, well, Abiodun I think was one of the first, but there is a car ahead of him. Well, looks no, it's Cherry2Pie. No, it's not Cherry2Pie. Someone is certainly. I do apologise for all the flicking. I'm just trying to figure out. Looks like Lordyboy's first out on track. No, there is actually another one. Let's stick with Lordyboy anyway. Give him the Scuderia some airtime. It's been a real struggle for them recently. So we open the opening section of the corner. Then very easy to cut over turn 1. Fairly technical opening section. We may see a lot of contact on the first lap there. Then flying around turn 5. He's already gone through the DRS activation point, which, as I mentioned, was at turn 4. We've got yellows in sector 3. It's a busy track out there. Only 2 drivers have not opted to go out straight away. So braking then for the end of sector 1 as we head up to turn 8. Another heavy braking zone here. And then this one, it's all about going as wide as possible so you can get the best possible exit out to 9, and then it's a quick blast down this sort of mini straight, and then into turn 11 and 12. Now turn 11 in particular, very hard corner to judge this one. You can easily cut it or slide out to the left and hit the wall. So then over the bridge we go and into the hairpin. Another tricky braking zone here, very easy to run wide, but Lordyboy doing a pretty good job so far. It's not particularly quick, but it's very smooth, so he's not making too many mistakes so far. End of sector 2 then, turn 14. He's got down to 3rd gear for that one. And another trick corner. Penalties will be very critical tonight because we've had some relatively kind tracks recently, penalties, but this is one where you can really trip up if you don't get the accuracy, if you're steering right through the corners and take too much speed into them. So into the final sector then, very technical this one. It's lots of braking and throttle pedal movement, trying to just get as smooth traction as you can. Now into the final blast of the corner. What sort of times it's going to be? And it's a 1:37.596 for Abiodun. And Paudie does a 1:38. Michemery then straight away a 1:36.988. The suggestion was that low 36s at least for pole position here. So Michemery setting the early pace, and he's a couple of tenths ahead of Ashbest. Now what about VSR Lewis, his nearest championship rival? And I think Ashbest was slowing down just to get out of the way of people. So VSR Lewis then heading for the end of his first flying run. The clock is still ticking, so I do believe he hasn't invalidated anywhere. The yellow helmet on the Toro Rosso driver. Flying around the final corner then, what's this going to be? Sometimes that final corner can make all the difference, and VSR Lewis goes ahead of Ashbest, so it's a Toro Rosso 1-2 at the moment. With Lickle in 4th, Ashbest 3rd, Abiodun in 5th, QPRBeasts in 6th. QPRBeasts, incidentally, a former race winner here, back in season 18. A brilliant drive that particular day from Louis. So most of the grid have set times, 1.5 seconds between the top 14, so pretty tight so far. So the likes of Oogie, Azeem, Greeny, Blizard, Cliffy and xJackLacey yet to set times. Let's have a look at Oogie, as he does go strong in qualifying quite often. He was one of the last to come out on track, so he'll have to avoid some slow moving traffic on this one, but hopefully he will not be caught up. Let's get a nice camera shot here. I mean, look how splendid the skyline is, the crowd really enjoying the qualifying so far. And then flying into this sector, which again, got to be so accurate. Oh, look how close to the wall Oogie's aiming. It wouldn't surprise me if anyone during the race gets it wrong and chips off the left side of their wing, or worse. As the Red Bull and the Renault ahead get out of the way of Oogie Azeem. It's one thing I hope they do really improve for the next game, is in terms of the sector times, to actually give you an idea, because it only really shows you the sector time that they're beating for themselves when they do their second run. So it'd be good to get sort of, you know, a purple, as Lickle It does a 1:36.575, and it's over 0.4 of a second faster than Michemery. So that's a stormer of a time out of nowhere from the Voltex driver. So fantastic work from Lickle, who has threatened to do this, and it looks like Oogie Azeem unfortunately has invalidated his time, so he will be coming back into the pit lane. Got no indication at the moment what the weather's going to be like for the particular race, but I'm not going to spoil it for you even if I know what it is. So any of you PSGL F1 drivers who have the stream running, don't spoil it for us. Normally multiple runs is an indication of it, but yeah, Force India at the moment, and it looks like VSR Lewis has also got above Michemery, just behind him, less than a tenth of a second. So the fact that they're doing multiple runs, to me, might suggest that it's going to be a wet race. So we'll find out. Just over 4.5 minutes of this qualifying session to go for the PSGL F1 Singapore Grand Prix, and it's a very interesting qualifying session. But Michemery and Ashbest, they've got a lot of work to do. They are well off the relative pace at the moment, because even Blizard has gone above Michemery and Ashbest now. So Blizard apparently is not running traction tonight, and he's doing a fine job so far, so he must have put in a lot of practice work in the simulators to get ready for tonight's race. So as I mentioned earlier, only one absentee tonight, and that is Npyne. But yeah, virtually a full grid, better attendance than last week, so it's good to see there's still a lot of commitment to PSGL F1, even with World Cup fever sweeping around the world, and indeed in England, with the semi-finals coming up this week, which unfortunately I will have to be watching from work. So it's going to be a bit quieter affair than it was last Tuesday for the game against Colombia. So most of the drivers in the pit lane. Yeah, Lewis back into the pit lanes, and Blizard. So Big C currently in 9th, the former 7-time champion. So let's do a run down of the top 10 then, just over 3 minutes of session to go. So we've got Voltex, Lickle, VSR Lewis, Blizard, Michemery, Ashbest, Abiodun, XJackLacey, QPRBeasts, Big C and AMS. So while we wait for their next flying runs, they're just all starting to come out now. Let's look at some former winners of this particular race. Iran in particular, full-time winner of this particular track in PSGL F1, more than anyone else. Josh, aka Boy with No Face, he's a former race winner here, used to be in F1, and as I mentioned earlier, season 18 QPRBeasts winning here. That was the last time this race was held. We did not have a Singapore Grand Prix in season 19. So what have the likes of Ashbest and Michemery got to do? Well, they've got to find a bit more time in terms of a lot of the time is lost at this particular track in sector 3, I feel, because there's so many corners where you got to, you know, brake, accelerate briefly, then brake again. It all comes fast, rapid. It's an unusual sequence of corners in some respects. So Michemery then flying through the final corner to start what will likely be his final qualifying run. So let's see. Goes through. Oh, and a look at the tyres. Oh, and he ran wide. He nearly invalidated that. I think he just got away with it. So then Michemery goes through turns 5, and oh, and a kick of oversteer, and there's a McLaren up ahead. That's Ashbest, I believe. He's on an outlap. So will Ashbest just get out of his way? He doesn't want to risk any sort of qualifying ban for blocking people, and Ashbest gets out of the way. Oh, Michemery, he's really struggling with rear grip, but he's still carrying the speed through the corners, so maybe he's not losing as much time as it appears. But it's not quite as... Oh, and again he nearly hits the wall. He is pushing like crazy to try and get up from his current 4th position. We're going to stick on this. This is quite a thrilling lap for Michemery, because you just don't know if he's about to bin it into the wall. Such is the speed he is taking through these corners. So round the hairpin he goes at turn 13 and up towards the end of sector 2 and into turn 14. Let's see how he deals with the braking. Look, watch the marker boards on the left hand side, and it's a bit smoother this time. But yeah, he's putting the power down, but yeah, the back end is trying to kill him every second. But he's managing to control it. Oh, and there's a tap of the wall there on the right hand side. You just saw it. And would that have affected him? I don't think it was enough to damage his wing, but I'm not sure about this lap. We're about to find out. Bit ginger through this corner. He might be going again. Let's see what this lap ends up as. 35, and he crosses the line, and it still improves. Wow! Despite what looked like a scrappy lap, he just gets above Lickle. 1:36.532. But I get the feeling he can go even faster, given that that didn't look like to me the best lap he could possibly do. I mean, he tapped the wall a couple of occasions, I think, at least. So we'll keep an eye on it, but let's see. Ashbest and Lickle, these look like the 5 drivers. Blizard, don't discount Blizard either, although, oh no, Blizzard's actually in the pit lane, so his session is over. Let's have a look at Ashbest. Where is Ashbest at the moment? He is in Sector 1. What about Lickle? Lickle's in Sector 1. Lewis then. Just over a tenth of a second behind in 3rd place. He needs to find a bit more time. So is Michemery. Yeah, Michemery's definitely going for another run here. And Ashbest is not far behind. So this is a thrilling conclusion to qualifying. Big C has qualified only 11th for the time being, and he could drop even more. It's certainly not been a season to remember for Big C, but maybe he's looking to the next game to come back fighting for that one. So where is Lickle? Lickle is in Sector 2 at the moment. Ashbest is just entering Sector 3, so let's keep an eye on him. Back end squealing a little bit, but he's nearly 7/10 by Michemery at the moment. That is a tall order, but we've seen some stunning laps from Ashbest this season with the pole positions he's had. But can he put in a lap which he needs to do? We've got yellows in Sector 2 and Sector 3. That's probably drivers just calling it down their session. So Ashbest then needs to carry all the speed he can. Ashbest will head for the line, and it's only 4th place, but he does get above Blizzard crucially. So what can Lickle do? Lickle is heading for the line. He needs to find just over 1. He runs wide, and it's not enough. So Michemery is taking a second pole position in a second. The only driver who can deny him is VSR Lewis. He'd love to gain another place at least, just to put one car between himself and Ashbest, his title rival. And here goes Lewis. He crosses the line, and it's pole position. It's a Toro Rosso lockout. VSR Lewis, he's returned with a bang, but Toro Rosso looking like the team to beat at the moment. But what a brilliant lap. I just think you just saw through Sector 3 that he was just a bit smoother than his teammate. He didn't tap the walls or anything. It was absolutely perfect. And that is why he's taken pole position, and that is the end of what's been a fascinating qualifying session. A second between the top 9. But there's some notable drivers outside the top 10 who have free choice of tyres, assuming it's not a wet race. I do wonder if it's if some of these times may be indications of a wet setup. We're about to find out momentarily. And apparently Liquidblock's invalidated the time right before, but he did run wide, so I can see why he got the invalidation. So here's your qualifying result then for the Psgl F1 Singapore Grand Prix. VSR Lewis, 6th pole position. Michemery's teammate in 2nd. Lickle in 3rd. Ashbest in 4th. Blizzard in 5th. AMS in 6th. Brilliant performance from the McLaren driver. Abiodun in 7th. XJackLacey in 8th. CCbrain in 9th. Cliffy in 10th. Making up row 5. Then we got QPRBeasts, Oogie, Big C, Cherry2Pie, Wocko, Joelianomanu, Greeny-LFC123 and Paudie make up the 19 strong grids. 1.9 seconds between pole position and 19th place. Got that in just in time. Wow. That was a rundown. I felt like Matt from What the Fuck F1. Oh my goodness. That intro glitched a bit. And it looks like a dry race then to start with. We may get some rain later on in the race. So a Toro Rosso lockout for the front row. Just under 30 seconds then before the start of this 31 lap race. Yeah, no indication of problems, so I think we are good to go. But yeah, that was quite a statement from the Toro Rosso team. But now they got to deal with the start. Michemery got a brilliant start in Japan. Can he do it again and pip his teammate to turn 1, or will he play the rear gunner? As Lewis over 3 begins his bid, he hopes to cut the championship lead to Ashbest. The 5 red lights and the night race at Singapore. It's go! And it's a good start from both Toro Rossos and Ashbest as well, incidentally. And I think Ashbest might get a run on Lickle in turn 1. But it's VSR Lewis who maintains the lead, and I think the top 4 is as you were, top 5 in fact. Anything going on behind? Yeah, looks like a Ferrari of XJackLacey sorry, Mercedes of XJackLacey and Abiodun going sideways. Oh, and I just saw Mercedes hit the wall behind. I think that might have been Ashbest. But the lead is maintained, and Ashbest looking for a move on Lickle. Oh, and they touch. He may have got a warning for that. But Ashbest desperately trying to get past Lickle immediately because he knows his championship rival is getting away. And look at the battle between the Renault of Cliffy and Abiodun behind. Oh, and Abiodun, and they just about have enough space to get through, but Cliffy is already up to 8th position. It's a great job from the Renault driver, and he squeezes the Ferrari off again. And that is feisty stuff from the Renault driver as we get this spectacular shot. Over the bridge they go on lap 1, and it's a long way to go, and it's going to be fast and furious from start to finish. So let's have a look who are the big winners and losers then. So Greeny and Lordyboy gaining 5 places at the start, Cliffy gaining 2, XJackLacey 1. The top 6 as you were, but I'm sure when the DRS is activated it is certainly going to be some changes, because XJackLacey already looking very pacey against AMS. Top 7 getting away slightly from Cliffy, but Cliffy will hope to claw back the gap in front, as Oogie, Azeem and Big C seem to be having a nice little scrap behind. But let's go back to the front and see what's going on with Ashbest. And the gap between the top 2 very close indeed. I don't think there'll be team orders at Toro Rosso given the way this race has started. And Cherry2Pie has pitted Oogie, Azeem and Wocko, so it looks like wing damage for those 3. So we've got a Haas and both Saubers in the pit lane. Oh, they're going to have to double stack, and who's in first? It's Oogie, Azeem. So Wocko's race has been absolutely destroyed already. The safety car, well, he's busy watching the World Cup, so we're never going to get one of those as usual. But that is terrible, terrible scenes for the Sauber team. Hopefully there will be better times to come in the next race, because it really looks like their game is up, although they may go on a long stint. But the one stop is the dominant strategy here, as it is at most tracks in the game. Tyre wear relatively kind. It's just a question of how kind people are on their tyres. Those starting on the ultra softs, they'll be looking to go as long as they can and then try and either go on the super softs at the end of the race or the soft tyres. So it's going to be interesting to see what they choose to do, as Ashbest really closes up onto the back of the Force India of Lickle. And crucially, Lickle has already fallen out of DRS range of the 2 Toro Rossos in front, so he's going to be under a bit of pressure as we get to the end of lap 2. DRS will be activated, although it won't be available on the start-finish straight, but it will be available between turn 5 and 7, assuming Ashbest can keep within that 1 second window. Blizzard keeping a good watching brief in 5th position. I think AMS and XJackLacey, they're about to go into combat as well, so we shall keep an eye on that. And Lickle goes massively wide. That's not going to do his traction any good. What about XJackLacey? Can he close the gap to the McLaren? So one McLaren is on the attack, the other is defending. I think the story right now will be Ashbest. Can he close in onto Lickle and use the DRS? So then, the 2 Toro Rossos are also in DRS range, so don't forget that. I don't think that Michemery is going to be close enough to challenge his teammate yet, but let's see. Ashbest, is he close enough? Not quite. XJackLacey, he's a bit closer to the McLaren behind. Will he maybe steal a gap here into turn 8? No, he was certainly not. He's going to put him under enormous pressure at this moment in time. And Joelianomanu is in the pits as well, so it looks like another wing change. So that's 4. You've had to make an early pit stop, which is just going to massively compromise their race. But there's a long way to go yet. Just keep going, and who knows what will happen. No retirements yet so far. Lap 3, the DRS activated, so we're going to get plenty of action now. And what about Ashbest up ahead? Look, Michemery is even closer to his teammate. Less than half a second between the top 2. The same gap between 3rd and 4th. Blizard in DRS of Ashbest, and AMS and XJackLacey. AMS forming a bit of a train now. He's got XJackLacey, Cliffy, Abiodun and CCbrain right behind. A bit of a gap to a former Singapore race winner, QPRBeasts in 11th place, who's unable to match the pace of the top 10 seemingly so far, although he could have damage. Oh, and Lickle, huge moment coming out of turn 21, but luckily not a place which will come. If that had been the last corner, he would have been a sitting duck for Ashbest. But he's okay, but so far the DRS not proving to be that effective. Everyone's still in the race, so there's no slipstream glitch, but they must be all running very similar setups. let's just have a look, see what tyres everybody's on. So Cliffy is on the super softs, highest running alternate strategy. So in 8th place, we're in a decent position strategy-wise. And then we've got softs for QPRBeasts, Lordyboy, Paudie, and Azeem, although of course Azeem had to pit, so he's gone for that long strategy as a result. Then super softs, oh, yellows in sector 3. What is going on there? Oh, and Azeem has called it a day. The gearbox has shut down, it's all over. And it's a terrible, terrible day for Sauber. Arguably their fastest driver at the moment is out of the race. So that is our first retirement of the Psgl F1 Singapore Grand Prix. What a shame. It's always good to see Oogie fighting in these races, but he's been unable to fight today because of clearly some sort of lap 1 incident. So 18 still running of the 19 who started then. Ashbest still unable to get past Lickle for the time being. So Lewis is exactly where he wants to be at the front, ahead of his teammate, maximising the pain for Ashbest. It's an 8-point difference between the two at the moment, so that will reduce the championship lead for Ashbest to 20 points as it stands. I wonder. At the moment it seems to be even Stevens between a lot of the drivers in the top 10, but who's going to manage their tyre wear better? That's when we may get the opportunities for overtakes for some of these drivers. As Blizard actually gets a really good run out of the final corner and actually puts Ashbest under threat slightly. Because Ashbest has the DRS himself, he's never really under that much threat. So let's see, outside the top 10, Big C all the way down in 14th at the moment. So mixed times for the Mercedes pairing at the moment. Two former Psgl F1 champions, of course. JackLacey in 7th at the moment. So Ashbest is not really getting close to the back of Lickle. So a lot of these setups seem to be just counting each other out, although JackLacey seems to get a good run on AMS, but not enough to get into position to pass. So he's just got to try and force the McLaren driver into a mistake. You just get the sense, given how packed the field is, that if any of these drivers make a mistake, they're going to lose several places. So the pressure is really on right now. As I said at the beginning of the broadcast, this is one of the most mentally demanding tracks on the calendar. The concentration has to be so maximum because the laps are so long. Just when you think you can relax, suddenly you make a mistake. Oh, and JackLacey getting very close to that McLaren. AMS now 3.6 seconds behind Blizard up the road in the top 5. So this is costing JackLacey and the cars behind big time. He's got to clear this car soon, otherwise any chance he has of getting on the podium will be slipping away. Let's see, has AMS got any damage? Doesn't look like he does. He's proving to be an effective roadblock to that Mercedes. It's almost like if this race was real, then this McLaren in performance would be holding up the Mercedes like this. And now JackLacey then just needs to get a good run out of the final corner. AMS does as well, but this could be an opportunity actually. JackLacey gets a good run. Will he go for a move to the inside? No, he does not for the time being. And Michemery gets a 3-second time penalty, so that could be a crucial moment. Let's just have a quick look at Ashbest. Is he still able to get close? Michemery's now dropped outside the DRS range of his teammate. Let's go back to JackLacey, and JackLacey now is as close as he has been. The ultra softs on AMS are dropping off. AMS goes to the inside to try and defend. JackLacey forced to the outside, unable to make the move stick as we get this superb helicopter shot. Look how close these 4 cars are. 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th separated by no more than a second really. Look at that, JackLacey, he's got a bit more straight line speed. I'm surprised he just can't pull alongside him in those DRS zones. There's much less between turn 9 and 10, there's not much road to really make a pass on. So through the hairpin they go. Oh, and JackLacey taps the back of the McLaren. Doesn't get any damage luckily as they sprint up to the end of sector 2 and into turn 14. Are keeping an eye on the battle for 3rd. For Michemery's had a good sector 2. He's closed back in. It's the DRS range of VSR Lewis. But I mean, look how tightly packed the field is. I mean, pit stops, the timing of them is going to be crucial, because you could easily fall out into a group like this and lose a bag of time. Oh, something's happened to Lewis. He's pitted. He's pitted lap 7 then. It's an fairly early pit stop then for the race leader and Ashbest's nearest challenger rival. So we will see what tyres did he go for. He will go for the super softs. Oh, out of the bit. Oh, there you go. He's and he's gonna. Oh, well, where is Lewis gonna come out? Relatively lean air, although he's going to hope that some of the cars ahead will be pitting fairly soon, because otherwise he's going to be caught up in traffic. So it's the soft tyres then. No, super softs for VSR Lewis. So he's going for a different strategy. Super softs from here to the end of the race. That's a tall order, in my opinion. He's going to have to do some significant tyre saving to get to the end, but we shall see. It's a battle for what is now 5th position. Rages on. But look at that, Cliffy in 7th position at the moment on the super soft. Strategy wise, he's in a great position. He can go fairly deep into the race and go for the safe strategy of the softs next, and he could be on for some good points. He's looked really strong since returning to PS4 F1, I have to say. Great podium last week, and he gave Ashbest a great battle at Suzuka. So who knows, if things play out well for him, he will be able to maybe get a podium. We shall see. So look, VSR Lewis 1.5 seconds behind Paudie up the road. So he doesn't want to get caught up behind that sort of traffic. Let's see, what is Michemery going to do? Is Michemery going to elect to stay out and maybe go for a long stint? No, he will pit as well, as does Lickle. So Lickle pits. So Michemery has responded to his teammate, although he was behind him, of course. He's trying to see if the overcut will work, although VSR Lewis wasn't really caught up in traffic, I don't think. Whereas, yeah, there is VSR Lewis now. Yellow's in sector 3. Any shenanigans going on? So VSR Lewis then looking for a move on Paudie. Will he get the move done? Now where's his teammate going to go? His teammate's coming out. There's his teammate. Oh, it's going to be close. It's going to be very close. Oh, that was very close indeed. And Michemery has gone for the ultra softs. Well, these are some alternative strategies. Does that indicate late rain in the race perhaps? We shall see. But look, they're both behind Paudie. Paudie goes to the inside, but I don't think he's going to have much to play with. Will Paudie go late on the brakes to defend this place? He will not. Round the outside. Oh, he's forced Michemery off actually, although I think Michemery took a bit too much speed. But now this is an interesting situation. The two Toro Rosso teammates have gone for different strategies. Currently in 10th and 11th. Ashbest leads his race. Blizard 2nd, AMS 3rd, XJackLacey 4th, Cliffy 5th, QPRBeasts 6th, Greeny 7th, Lordyboy 8th, Big C 9th, and Lewis in 10th of course. So let's see who's pitted so far. All of the top 9 have yet to pit. But now, although he got past Paudie, now VSR Lewis is now going to get past the likes of Big C and Lordyboy, former Psgl F1 champion, so he may not find it so easy this time. And Lickle now is stuck behind the Red Bull. So the gap between, and Ashbest pits then, so he pits as well. Lickle's going for a move. Wow, that's a brave move there. Down into turn 18, but he got the move done. You can easily rip a wheel off if you get that wrong, but fair play to Lickle, he had to get the move done. So Ashbest pits, and what has Ashbest gone for, I wonder? And look at this, Big C, they've gone 3 wide. Michemery, he's outbroken himself. He's outbroken himself. He'll have to give the place back to his teammate, or will he? The two teammates of Big C got absolutely swamped by the Toro Rossos behind, so they are making their way back through the field, and Ashbest has come out behind Lickle, so the overcut did not work for him. He was kind of hoping the traffic would have held them up a bit, but these two Toro Rosso teammates, there's no team orders going on here. And now they're behind a slow moving Ferrari. Oh, this is critical moments. Oh, what is Lewis doing? He went for an optimistic move, and Michemery takes the effective net lead of the race at the moment. That was a mistake from Lewis, and it's cost him the lead. And now Michemery going for an optimistic move, and he's trying to go around the outside. Oh, that's oh my goodness, how close was that? Oh, that's a absolutely balmy move, and he's forced Lordyboy has gone deep into the corner. Both Toro Rossos have gone through. This race has suddenly exploded into life. We had little overtaking, but now the different tyre strategies are in effect. But Michemery will not be going to the end of the race on his ultra softs. The question is, pushing so hard, will Lewis get to the end either. It's about 20 seconds. Oh, and Lewis hits the wall slightly. They're now catching to Greeny. He was up ahead. It's AMS. Oh, look at the Toro Rossos. They are making mincemeat. And Greeny, oh, he gives as good as he gets. And that's cost Michemery. And that's going to allow the two Toro Rosso teammates to go side by side. Lap 10 of this Singapore Grand Prix. Wow. Can we race in the Far East every week? We keep getting great action like this. Once again, Michemery going deep into the opening section of corners. Greeny, he's one for aggressive defending. And he is not making this easy. And that is allowing Lickle to get right behind them. Ashbest is making his way through the field. And alongside, oh, this is a terrible camera view. I'm going to switch the HUD off. So alongside, and I'm going to keep the view on this actually so I can see where Lewis is going. Greeny's going to go late. And look at that. Lewis gets the switch. Oh, and a chip a wing off. Greeny's lost a bit of his wing. And Lickle down the inside of Michemery. I'm finding it hard to keep all this. Oh, and Mitch. Oh, they didn't give each other enough space. And Ashbest is trying to go between the two of them. Oh, this is astonishing. These different strategies are just making this come alive, but Lewis has got ahead of Greeny. Now he's scamming up the road. Michemery's getting very frustrated, and now it may be a double switchback. And well, there's so many cars I can't even see what's going on. They're basically free wide. Lickle is ahead of Michemery for the time being. Oh, there's going to be an almighty crash if this carries on. And Lickle is now up to net second. Michemery and Ashbest is somehow behind Lordyboy again. There's so many overtakes going on. Unbelievable stuff. Somehow they're keeping off the barriers. Ashbest goes down the inside of Lordyboy and moves up to 8th position. Blizard pits them from 2nd place. And well, if he ends up in squabbling with this lot, this is going to go all the way to the end. But there's so many different strategies going on. So Michemery ended up behind Lickle. So VSR Lewis, well, he has a decent gap. I just want to see what the gap is actually now between him and Lickle. It's about 2.3 seconds. Ashbest then does a very... Oh, and I think Ashbest has damage to his wing, you know. It looks like there's an end plate missing on the right hand side. Look how many cars there are behind him. Blizard has come out ahead of Big C. Going to keep an eye on this slot. Who do I select? So Blizard going alongside Greeny. So Greeny's going to lose yet another position. He thinks unless he forces Blizard off. And they both run wide. Will he have the inside for the next corner? No. And Blizzard sets me. And down the inside goes Lordyboy, Big C. Well, these two former rivals in seasons gone by. And they're having a lovely little scrap there. And up ahead, side by side, again goes Blizzard and Greeny. And Lordyboy gets past, and Blizzard gets past Greeny as well. So Lordyboy is up to 9th position. The Supersofts may be going off for Big C, or Big C trying to come back at Lordyboy, but doesn't quite get the job done. So I'm just trying to see who is on what. So the top two haven't pitted yet, but VSR Lewis and Lickle and Michemery and the rest, they will be catching rapidly to those two. But Cliffy, at the moment, well, he's got the best strategy, I think, at the moment, because Cliffy can pit for the softs, and as long as he stays out of trouble and gets decent pace down, the likes, he won't have to pit again. And it's that AMS trying to go from, a move down the other, and round the outside goes Abiodun. So it seems like no one can hold a position for more than 2 seconds. And up ahead, Lordyboy putting Greeny under pressure. So it seems like the Supersoft runners who started on the race really struggling now. So Lordyboy, this is the most attacking display we've seen from Lordyboy in some time. But Greeny defends the inside nicely and cuts the apex. Oh, they come back at each other violently. So this is your main on-track battle at the moment. Lordyboy trying to get past Greeny. It's the Greeny train at the moment as CCbrain picks up a 3-second time penalty. Also a reminder that Michemery has a 3-second time penalty. None of the other cars he's fighting have penalties, so that could be really costly. So Greeny will go to the inside and try and defend once again. And oh, they go through behind. Paudie's under threat from Abiodun. The rear view really useful, and Abiodun has gone round the outside of Paudie's on the old shots, and AMS dives down the inside as well. And look at that one, both Ferraris on the attack. Abiodun passes Big C, and he goes up to 10th position into the points. I tell you what, I'm not going to have a voice tomorrow. So Lordyboy then trying to get past the Williams of Greeny. I mean, this Williams going far quicker than the real life 2018 equivalent. You know, it's in the points. You don't see that this season. So Abiodun, his teammate, is on the ultra softs, so he's going to have a massive advantage over these two, at least for the time being. But those who have stopped for the ultra softs, they'll all be pitting again. So if they picked the wrong strategy, I wonder. Lewis, you would think, will he be pitting again? Because he had to battle hard in that crazy scrap early on. But this is shaping up to be even crazy. Greeny's a proverbial cork in the bottle. But look at that, Abiodun looking for a move on his teammate. And this could be a free wide situation right here. That Williams is going to be in a Ferrari sandwich. And Abiodun is going past Lordyboy, his teammate shaking his head for a moment. But he gets past, so Abiodun showing some real spirit. But now can he get past Greeny? And what can AMS do? He's on fresh super softs up against Big C. Big C runs deep into that corner. And look up ahead. Abiodun getting a brilliant run into the DRS zone. Side by side they go. Abiodun will try and go around inside with the superior grip, and I think he's going to get it done. I don't think Greeny's going to be able to defend it this time. AMS has also passed Big C, and I think another Williams has got past Big C as well. I mean, even the timing screens are struggling to keep up. Yellow's in sector 2, and it looks like Greeny. Oh, Greeny's hit the wall. He's lost his wing. Couldn't defend anymore. But what a crazy midfield battle that was. And XJackLacey, incidentally, he's spun, and he's down in 17th. He was battling with AMS in the top half of the top 10, and XJackLacey has retired from the race. So that's our second notable retirement from this race. So for the time being, let's catch our breath and go through the top 5. So that's Cliffy, QPRBeasts, who haven't pitted yet, VSR Lewis, Lickle and Michemery. Making up top 5. Ashbest, we think, has got wing damage. That's why he's not able to make an impression on the top 5 at the moment. And he'll have to get his wing fixed. So, wow, this could be quite a moment in the title battle. Greeny is out of the race as well. So that's 3 retirements now. They're beginning to crack up. But with all the battling they were doing, it's little wonder. Let's have a look at Lewis, because he is closing in onto Louis. Now Lickle will be hoping. Lewis gets held up a little bit here to allow him to catch up. As Lordyboy pits then from 13th position. I think that's going to be a wing change for Lordyboy, unfortunately. Yep, looks like a wing change for Lordyboy, and he's gone onto the super softs. So look how close Lewis is now. He made a move a few laps ago that nearly ripped his wing off, but he got away with it. Some other drivers have not been so lucky in this race. But he's on for a big point score at the moment. But all the time he's stuck behind this Renault, Lickle is getting closer and closer. In this Psgl F1 Singapore Grand Prix, we are just about a half distance for this race, and my goodness, just like China and Japan, what entertainment this grid has offered again. I can't believe there hasn't been like some almighty crash. A couple of drivers have sort of hit the wall as a result, but it's not been any multi-car pile-ups. Plenty of time to go, of course. So Lickle trying to close the gap to Lewis, but Lewis is going to go late on the brakes. But look at that, QPRBeasts is fighting furiously to try and stop the Toro Rosso. Who's going to get down on the traction better? But look out, Lickle is right there. Lickle is right there. And QPRBeasts will have the inside for the next corner, and Lewis brilliantly takes the place around the outside. The QPRBeasts has got a great exit as a result, and he's going to try and come back. There's Lickle just behind. And QPRBeasts has been forced off slightly. Clumsy move by Lickle, but it's effective. QPRBeasts drops down, and now the lead between Cliffy and Lewis is now 6.6 seconds. The track position is king here, so Cliffy is going to have to pit at some point. But Lickle is definitely in play now for this race. But Michemery is slowly catching up these two as well. But Lickle, is he possibly a contender to win this race? Just trying to look back in terms of the past of this league. Lickle Blocks has never won a Psgl F1 race, I do believe, unless I'm incorrect. No, I don't believe he has, but this is about as big an opportunity as he's had. But he's got to get past one of the fastest on the grid to do it. Both on Super Sauce. Question is, are they both pitting again? Given the way that they have all battled so furiously, I'll be amazed if they can go to the end of the race. And Michemery then is closing in, and looks like Ashbest's damage is really affecting him. He's dropped well off this particular scrap, and Blizard is now putting him under threat. So Lickle has the DRS open, not close enough to make a move on the Toro Rosso ahead. So Michemery, he'll be moving up to a net third. So 16 laps gone. Cliffy's done a good stint on those super softs, and he has kept out of danger. He's not really had to do any of this battling, so that's why he's able to extend his stint for such a long time. Lickle, is he any closer? No, not close enough. And Michemery surprisingly isn't. Does he have damage as well? Possibly on his left end plates, actually. Yes, quite possibly. So Lewis and Lickle don't have damage. Ashbest definitely has damage. He's really struggling to keep that particular Haas behind. AMS picks up a 3-second time penalty. I did say penalties could be so vital. Look how close the Toro Rosso is now, and he's going to try and put it to the inside, get the switchback. And now he's got a really good run as they run up to turn 14. Goes to the outside, and he goes back to the inside. Is he going to get the car slowed down? And he does just about, but he went too. Oh, they've touched. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, Michemery, he went deep and he tried to come back. It was a near impossible move, and unfortunately he collected QPRBeasts. It was a racing incident, but Michemery is not going to repeat his heroics of last week. And QPRBeasts has called it a day. He'll be absolutely furious. He was running well, but Michemery, he'll be pitting. But that is good news for Ashbest. He's effectively gained a place because of that. Michemery has missed the pit lane completely. He's missed the pit lane completely. It has gone from bad to worse. Wait a minute. It's raining. There's rain coming down, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my god. I have raised my hands. This is an unbelievable race. There was no sign the rain was coming, but I guess with the black sky you can't really see anything coming. You don't see the normal clouds. But Ashbest may have been saved here. And Cliffy, just like China, has once again, assuming the rain falls quickly enough, has played the blind strategy. But of course, last time this happened, of course, the rain didn't fall quickly enough, and then when it rained it went dry again. I mean, there's still half the race to go. Cherry is out of the race. We've got 5 retirements now. Just want to see what happened to Cherry. No, Cherry's just called it a day. So the Haas team having some difficulties. So while one Renault was caught up now, unfortunately, by Michemery. So we can tell why Michemery decided to stay out because of the rain, because obviously it's too soon to put the wet tyres on, so he needed to keep going. But he's lost a bag of time. With over half the race to go, Ashbest, we know how good his wet weather pace is, and if he can get his wing fixed, you know, he's still got half a chance of getting onto the podium. And look, the spray, it's already a lot of spray already on those cars, so I think it's falling quickly. Cliffy pits, as does Lewis. Lickle pits as well. Is anyone going to stay out? No, they're all pitting. Ashbest is just going to have to follow in, but the rain is falling quickly. It's not like China. This is a deluge, a monsoon-like condition straight away. Might even get full wet conditions. So here we go then. Cliffy pits. Will anyone get held up? It's Inters for the Renault. Who's going to get out first? Oh, it's going to be close. And Lewis gets out just behind Cliffy. So Cliffy of the Renault Formula 1 team is going to lead this race. Unbelievable. Ashbest will pit to get his wing fixed, as does Michemery. So I think Ashbest will come out somewhere about 5th or 6th. And the DRS is disabled, so that's definitely the right time, but it's going to take a bit of time for these tyres to warm up. But Cliffy has a glorious opportunity now, because we know that VSR Lewis, his dry weather pace is amazing, but in the wet it is not quite so impressive, at least in the past. So Ashbest, well, he is some way down the road. We know how good his wet weather pace is, but he's got to get past Blizard. And we had that controversy between these two at China. Lickle already looks like he's really struggling. I do wonder who's put more of a wet weather setup on. That's going to be interesting. So Lewis now hunting down the Renault of Cliffy. Cliffy himself, a former multiple race winner in Psgl F1, lap 18 of this 31 lap race here at the Marina Bay circuit. So let's do a quick rundown. Top 10: Cliffy, Lewis, Lickle, Blizard, Ashbest, Abiodun, Michemery, CCbrain, AMS and Paudie making up the top 10, and there's a big gap between Paudie and Big C, so the top 10 at the moment, assuming they don't crash, is a bit of a lot. But let's see what the wet weather pace of Michemery like. He's got the wing fix, and now he's looking to scrap with the Ferrari of Abiodun. But yeah, it was a big mistake by Michemery, and now he's trying to go around the outside of Abiodun again. Can he get the car slow down and get the switchback? Yes, he does superbly. He's going to give him a run on the Ferrari driver as they fly into the next section of corners. Oh my goodness, he gets it slowed down. That's a really well executed overtake for Michemery. Wocko is out of the race. Well, they stayed on the track for a while, and he has binned it, and he has pulled over in sector 2. So we now only have 13 running of the 19 who started. And now Lewis putting Cliffy under enormous pressure. Cliffy into the dirty air. Lewis went deep and he nearly hit the wall, but he's alright. But yeah, Lickle not able to live with these two. Ashbest closing the gap slowly to Blizard, but not that through, but he's so far behind. It's going to be a tall order to get onto the podium now. So the big story will be this fight for the lead. Cliffy's got to put everything right. No DRS, of course, so straight line speed is going to be fairly even. But the slipstream still enabled, of course. They'll still get that. Can Lickle find a bit more pace to make this a freeway scrap for the lead of this race, which could be so important for Lewis's championship? He can get those extra 4 points. Ashbest at the moment on to score 6 points. Lewis 12. And if Lewis can get ahead of Cliffy and win this race, he would cut the gap significantly. Current gap between the top 2 in the championship going into this particular race was 28 points. Cliffy continues to defend for his life. Ashbest is now close to within 2.6 seconds of Blizard. So now let's see how Cliffy handles the final corner. Can Lewis go down? He drops an extra gear, try and get the best possible traction, and indeed but it's a good exit from Cliffy as well, to be fair. Lickle slowly catching up to these two. He's got it now back down under 2 seconds. Let's get a nice view of the chassis of the Toro Rosso. Cliffy struggling to get traction down out of the opening section of corners. It's bubbling under this particular race. Oh, again, it's good straight line speed from Cliffy. It's keeping him ahead of the Toro Rosso for the time being. But Lewis, he might be thinking, well, do I need to risk it all? I've got good points at the moment. Let's just bide my time. And it's only lap 20, plenty of laps to go. I can force Cliffy into a mistake and take the lead of this race rather than risking an all or nothing manoeuvre. Ashbest now 1.8 seconds behind Blizard. Lickle picks up a 3-second time penalty, so that's important for the battle lead. Cliffy and Lewis do not have penalties at this moment in time. The top 2, oh, they're so close. Oh, and Cliffy goes deep, goes very deep into that corner, and that's going to allow Lewis possibly to get a run. Up to turn 14 they go. Lewis goes to the outside. Cliffy saw it coming and slows it down and just covers the apex so that the switchback was not possible. So yeah, one of the key moments of the race earlier on was the racing incident between Michemery and QPRBeasts. Michemery, well, he may well have been in this fight for the lead if it wasn't for that, but it was, you know, hard racing. It just went a bit too far, but I don't think either driver can be really blamed for it. They just sort of locked together. As Lewis continues to close in, and Ashbest now is in striking distance of Blizard. Oh, and Lewis has hit the back of the Renault, and I think he's damaged part of his end plate on the right side. Look, some of them are missing, I believe. So Lewis, you know, just got his braking wrong simply. And now Ashbest is looking to make a move. Michemery picks up another 3-second time penalty, so that's 6 seconds now. So Ashbest now will try and take Blizard. Hopefully Blizzard learned his lesson from Spain. But yeah, Ashbest isn't going to get past there, so for the time being he will be delayed. But Lickle, even with the time penalty, he's continuing to close in on the top two. Cliffy clearly doesn't have the out and out pace at the moment as the rain continues to fall. Oh, and something's happened to Michemery. Michemery has lost it, and that is his race over. Well, 0-0 stuff. A perfect performance in Japan last week, but Michemery's race, which looks so promising, has come to a shuddering end here at Singapore. So that is another retirement. That will promote Big C eventually when he catches up to the stricken Toro Rosso into the points. Michemery's decided to leave the session, which means that will cause a slipstream glitch, unfortunately. So he will be getting a time penalty his way, if indeed he was the first to leave. That's a shame, but here we go. Top 3, lap 21 of the Psgl F1 Singapore Grand Prix. And Lickle is playing himself into contention, but he'll be gutted he's got that penalty, because he's going to have to pass him and get somewhat of a gap. But Lickle's damage to his wing is really compromising, so Cliffy, at the moment, as long as he doesn't get a penalty, he's looking good to win this race, but he's got a lot of defending to go, and we have no idea what the tyre wear's like on these Inters. XJackLacey's left zone, but of course it doesn't matter now. So yeah, no action here, so let's have a look at Ashbest then, going for a move down the inside into what would be DRS, but there's no DRS, and they're going to go side by side. And actually Blizzard gets a really good run. He's going to have the inside for the next corner, so is Ashbest going to try and force Blizzard to go deep? But actually this time I think Ashbest is going to have to, oh, and he gets a snap oversteer, that could be costly. Ashbest comes back at Blizzard. What about the switchback for Blizzard? Can he get back in front, the reigning champion? No, I don't think he can, so Ashbest gets the move done, and now he will try and pursue 15 seconds to the top 3. But given how slowly some of these drivers are going, don't rule out Ashbest. So up to 4th goes Ashbest. These are vital points for him, so now he's got 8 points, Lewis has 12. So at the moment Lewis is only gaining 4 points on his nearest championship rival, which will reduce the gap to 24 points in the championship. Yellow's in sector 2. Something's going on between AMS and CCbrain. CCbrain's had an off somewhere at the hairpin, so he must have gone too deep and he's lost a place to AMS, so CCbrain down to 8th position. And straight back to the battle for the top 3. Don't think Ashbest is going to have enough laps to catch up these 3, but you never know. Blizzard, you know, still under a second behind, so it's not like Ashbest is galloping away. At the rate that Ashbest was catching Blizzard, you would think that Ashbest will fairly quickly get away from him. So Lickle's wing is absolutely fine, so can he make a move on Lewis? Lewis is dropping back from Cliffy a little bit. That wing damage is really starting to affect him. Is the rain getting heavier? Will we indeed get heavy rain conditions at the end of the race? That's going to be an intriguing question. So Lewis doesn't have any penalties at the moment, but he is beginning to struggle. He hit the back of the Renault, and I think that's when he got the damage a few laps ago. But what Lewis doesn't want to do is pick up a time penalty himself. Oh, as Lickle hits the wall, nearly risks damage, but he gets away with it. As Paudie pits for wet tyres. Well, that's intriguing. I'll tell you what, the rain is coming down quite a bit harder. Paudie gambling, nothing to lose I suppose in his position, to try and gain some place. CCbrain picks up another 3-second time penalty. Driver's really struggling now with the cutting. This race has quieted down somewhat, just waiting for someone to make a mistake. Lap 23 then. The laps are counting down. Let's see how quickly Paudie goes. Just watch the gap between Joelianomanu and Paudie. We're going to keep an eye on this battle. But BSR Lewis nearly a second behind Cliffy now. Can Lickle close gap without the slipstream? It's going to be a tall order. No, Paudie's already dropped 5 seconds behind Joelianomanu. I don't think it's ready for wet conditions. Let's have a quick look at Paudie, see what's going on. We've got 29 watching. Wow. Thank you very much, guys. It's been fabulous entertainment, especially in the middle part of the race. That was brilliant, but yeah, no. Let's have a look. Paudie through the hairpin. This is a heavy braking zone. No, that is not working. As you can see, I don't even need to describe that, do I? You can see for yourself, and it's not wet conditions at the moment. Well, if you have enjoyed this race, please leave a like. I will really appreciate it. Because I tell you what, this season has really hotted it up. Yes, and JP makes a good point. 2 former rivals. Paudie is retired from the race. That gamble spectacularly failed. Once again, Lickle touching the wall, getting away with it. Ashbest not really able to put the pace down. Oh, and Lewis picks up a time penalty, and that is going to make Cliffy's life even easier. And Lickle goes for a dive down the inside, but doesn't quite get the job done. Well, his wing is leaving a charmed life at the moment. Well, to answer Roy's question, this league is every Monday at 8 o'clock. It is Psgl F1, and if you're interested, you can sign up to the Psgl League. If you go on Twitter, type in PlayStation GL, you can find it. There are 7 different leagues of various abilities and formats. And it's one of the most established F1 league formats on the internet. So, Lewis fending off Voltex, Lickle. The top 3 are so close. But Cliffy, his strategy gamble at China failed. But this time, will it pay off for Renault? Alan Prost is sitting in the back as the guest of honour and watching this Renault going around. But unlike Alan Prost in Monaco, when he got the race stopped because it rained too much, Cliffy does not want this to stop. He wants to keep going. He doesn't want any more rain. He wants to stick on the inters and just run to the end. And with Lewis's damaged wing, he's got one hand on that trophy for the Singapore race winner, to add to the victories he has got in the past 2 seasons. But this would be his first victory of the season. But you know, Cliffy has come back in such impressive fashion to this league. So Lickle went for an optimistic dive early on. Ashbest, you know, he's left Blizard for dust, but unable really. I was expecting him maybe to be closing the gap a bit more. I mean, he was never going to close the gap completely, but yeah, I think maybe damage limitation now, just bringing the points home. So Cliffy, what a glorious moment this would be for the Renault driver if he can take the victory here at the Marina Bay circuit. But he's got to concentrate. It is such a test of will and skill in equal measure, because this race, especially when it rains, is so long, it's so grueling. Your thumbs are bruised and sore by the end, and indeed your arms, if you're on the wheel, they'll be very sore after this long race. But Lewis, he's not giving up. He wants to get as many points as he can to try and put the pressure as much as possible. Oh, and Lewis runs massively wide, and that's going to leave him under massive threat. Lewis will have to go to the inside. Lickle will go to the outside. That's where the racing line is. That's where the grip is. Lewis will have to go deep. Cliffy will be absolutely loving this. He's smiling as he scampers away like a startled gazelle. And now he's got over a second advantage to Lewis. And Lewis, to be fair to him, defended the position very well. We'll go back to this, but Lickle, this has been the best opportunity, because now that they both have a 3-second time penalty, this is effectively for position, because if Lickle gets past him, doesn't get any more penalties, he will be finishing second, which would be a brilliant result for the Voltex driver. Lickle's best result so far this season. Oh, in fact, fourth is his best result of the season, so even if he finishes third, it's his best result of the season. His first podium of the season, indeed. He's had rotten luck this season, but also a mixture of crazy driving. But he's really performed well this evening. He's had to fight hard against some of the best in Psgl F1 to be in this position. And who knows, if Cliffy gets a penalty late on, Lickle still has a chance of winning this race. Lewis is now over a second behind. Top three, this is really the only battle on track. Now, will tyre wear be a factor? They've been on these inters some time now, and they've been pushing extremely hard. I think they should be okay to get to the end. I'd be very surprised if we saw any sort of punches or anything like that. But Cliffy, he went for that. He went for this long strategy from outside the top 10 of China. It didn't work out for him. He's within tantalising distance of putting the trick again, but this time working in his favour. The lack of downforce for Lewis is really starting to hurt him. The right hand side in particular. That's why he's understeering so much. And now Lewis will once again try and attack him. Lap 27 and 4 to go, including this one. Once again, Lewis will cover off the inside. There's a little gap there to the inside, and Lewis is going to go for it, as he has to. Lickle rather. Lickle squeezing Lewis. And can Lewis come back at him? It's going to be so difficult with the lack of downforce. Oh, and he's touched. Oh my goodness. A huge slide by Lickle. And that's allowed Lewis to get back in front. So that was slightly naughty contact. But given the conditions and his lack of wing, it was certainly an accident. But Lickle won't be happy about that. He thought he'd finally got past him. But look at the gap now between Cliffy and Lewis. It's now nearly 4 seconds. So even if he gets a penalty, he's safe at the moment. But the lack of downforce and the more the rain, my goodness, this is a furious scrap. This is like the F2 finale. These two fought tooth and nail for the Psgl F2 championship in the past, and it's like old times. It's great to see Lickle up at the front fighting. Oh, and he's tapped the back and somehow has escaped with no damage again. I swear. I swear he's hit the wall or hit a car several times, and he hasn't lost like a massive chunk of his wing. Maybe he's lost an end play or two. Blizard picks up a time penalty, but it's not really going to affect him at this point. Ashbest has actually closed to within under 10 seconds now, but I don't think he's going to run out of laps, to be honest. Although if these two contact each other many more times, it's certainly going to be a gap that Ashbest can regain. But Ashbest, damaging his wing in that second stint, that's what cost him. He could have been right here. Once again, understeer from Lewis is immense. But Lickle not as close this time, so maybe he has picked up a little bit of damage, maybe some green or light yellow damage. But what could be a massive moment in the championship is if something happens between these two, Ashbest will be keeping an eye on the situation. But at the moment, Lewis is only gaining 4 points over his nearest championship rival, which will reduce the gap in the championship to 24 points. And given the retirement of Michemery, it's been a good day for McLaren as well in the Constructors' Championship as it stands. 4 points for AMS, 8 for Ashbest. So at the moment, Toro Rosso are also not gaining anything in the Constructors' Championship. So So we've got only 11 runners now of the 19 who started. Everyone seemed to be racing but you know, again, this race is so long, so grueling, it just claims victims in the second half of the race. It's what always seems to happen here. Oh, and again, he taps the back, but it's the nose of the car, so he wouldn't have damaged his wing on that. 3.5 seconds then, Cliffy has 3 to go, well, 2.5 to go. No, what am I saying? 3.5 laps to go. So let's have a rundown of the top 10 then, as this battle furiously continues, which I do believe will still have another win. Cliffy leads the race, the only driver to get a one-stop strategy to work in terms of the top 5. And all the way to the rain on one set of tyres, was able to get out in front of Lewis. Lewis hit the back of Cliffy and damaged his wing, which is why now he's under so much pressure from Lewis. And this time Lickle has a run on him again. Will he try to go late on the brakes? No, he's not close enough this time. To the top 10, Cliffy, Lewis, Lickle, Ashbest, Blizard, Abiodun, AMS, CCbrain, Big C and Joelianomanu. As a former 4-time race winner of this particular race in Psgl F1, era in F1, former champion of Psgl F1 of course, watching this particular race and enjoying what he's seeing. Plenty of great racing here today. He would have brought back some good memories from he had a particularly brilliant victory here in changeable conditions a long time, well, what seems like a long time ago now. So Lewis goes very deep into the next corner, and this will put Lewis nearly alongside him. Lewis is almost teasing, Lickle's almost teasing with him now, trying to, you know, switch back, just distracting Lewis as much as he can, and this is just dropping him further and further time. Just under 3 laps to go. Oh, Lickle, can he find a way past Toro Rosso without the slipstream? It's very difficult. Yeah, I am sorry, Odam. They got such similar game tags. I keep looking at it. So Lickle, he wants to get past, get that second place. He's already on for his best result of the season. And Lickle gets a 5-second stop-go penalty for a cut. Oh, 2. Any warnings? Maybe he'll get that removed, but I don't think so. Oh, and that has ended the battle surely there. Lickle's got nothing to lose. I hope that doesn't make him frustrated and go for a almighty move somewhere. But Lewis, well, he might know about this if he's got the stream running. But yeah, it was a big mistake. A big mistake from Lickle. But, you know, he's still on for 3rd. So he's got to think about that, bring the car home. Penultimate lap then at the Psgl F1 Singapore Grand Prix. And there's a Ferrari up ahead. That's Lordyboy, who's about to be lapped. And Lickle's gone for a move on the inside. What? Whoa, it's contact between the two. The arm. There's still some fight left in the Force India driver. He outbrakes himself and slammed into the side of the Toro Rosso. And somehow again escapes with no visible wing damage. This is getting real personal between these two. And now Lickle going late on the brakes on the outside. But Lewis gets it slowed down and maintains second place. Oh, he's trying to go around the outside. Oh, and he's been hit into the wall. That was always going to be optimistic, and that finally is his wing gone. That was a near impossible move for Lickle to attempt, and Lewis, you know, took the racing line. I think he was entitled to do that. And I think that was very optimistic from Lickle as Lordyboy gets out of the way of the lead cars. But Cliffy now has a 6-second advantage. And Lickle, oh, you can tell he's bubbling with pure, unadulterated rage. He's nearly got past Lickle several times, but they've banged wheels more than a Dodgems at your local park. Unbelievable stuff. But with both cars now damaged wings, I think the battle is settled. But with Ashbest, can he close within range of Lickle and maybe snatch a podium place because of the penalties? That is a possibility, especially if Lickle can't find any pace. But there's only just, as the final lap begins, Cliffy is in absolute dreamland. He would have hoped those two very personal ride would have bubbled over, and it certainly has, and it's allowed him to scamper away, and he is heading for victory at Singapore, but he's still got another lap to go. He's got another lap to concentrate. Cannot rest easy yet until he sees that checker flag, until the Renault team celebrate with him on the start-finish straight. Are there any other battles going on track? Joelianomanu has closed onto the back of Big C. Let's just have a quick look at that. They are so far behind. It's been a desperately disappointing race for these two veterans, but they will still get some decent points at least. Let's go back to Cliffy. Cliffy then through sector, coming up to the middle of sector 2. Just needs to get his braking right here. Lewis in a vain effort to catch up to Cliffy, but it's all too little too late. Too much battling. It's Joelianomanu. This is the only real battle on track left, and Ashbest is close right onto Lickle in terms of that 5-second penalty. Let's see if Joelianomanu can get past Big C on the final lap. Big C covers the inside. I don't think there's going to be any action there. So where is Cliffy? Cliffy is heading through into sector 3 now. So Cliffy heading through the final section of corners. This is probably the last dangerous corner he has to negotiate. And here he is then, Cliffy, through turns 20, through turn 21. And the Renault crew rise up onto the pit wall, and Cliffy will win the Singapore Grand Prix. Unbelievable. Fantastic. VSR Lewis crosses the line in second. Lickle in third, but where will Ashbest finish? Well, the 5 seconds are usually added on after the race, so we will see if Ashbest gets that podium. But Ashbest, decent recovery in the end to get fourth. Blizzard will come home for decent points in fifth, but maybe Abiodun might get an extra place because Blizzard had a few penalties. Let's see. Blizzard crosses the line. And Abiodun will pick up a brilliant fifth place. What about AMS? Will he get any extra positions? Only 7th position, but good points. What on earth is going on here? CCbrain and Lordyboy having some fun in the rain. Let's go back to Cliffy as he celebrates his victory. Absolutely brilliant from Cliffy. He got the strategy spot on, as he did in China, but this time the weather gods were with him, and thanks to the furious battling between Lewis and Lickle behind him, he was able to get away, get a comfortable gap and take the victory here at the Marina based circuit. And what a thoroughly deserved victory it has been for Cliffy, who is back to winning ways. He started in Psgl F1 in the Renault back in season 18, and he is once again a race winner in this particular yellow and black car. Well, if he keeps making strategy calls like this will make up for perhaps something he would accept, the slight deficit in speed he has to some of the top drivers in this league, but he won't care a damn about that right now as he celebrates his in lap. Still waiting for everybody to finish actually. Yeah, Lordyboy is a lap down, so hopefully he'll finish soon. Don't know what Lordyboy is doing. Yeah, that's Lordyboy up ahead actually. Fantastic work from Cliffy. Brilliant stuff, and what a race that was, and what a brilliant trip through the Far East it's been at China, Japan and Singapore. 3 absolutely fantastic races to enjoy. And well, the next race is coming up. We're going to have a lot to live up to after that classic trio of Grand Prix in Psgl F1. Cliffy then celebrates with the Renault team below, applauding him, and wouldn't you might. Lickle and Lewis joining him on the podium. Lewis will be satisfied with at least cutting the championship lead to Ashbest, but he would have thought a win might have slipped away from his grasp today. Let's see then. So Cliffy takes the victory. VSR Lewis in second, Lickle in third, Ashbest fourth, Abiodun fifth, and then Blizzard in sixth, AMS in seventh, CCbrain in eighth, Joelianomanu in ninth, and Big C was actually overtaken by on the final lap, so he only picks up a solitary championship point for Mercedes. And then, well, Lordyboy, the only other finisher, the rest retired, including most notably last week's race winner Michemery. We shall have to see, but that is a provisional race result. There may be a few changes, but wow, what a race that was. And I hope everybody thoroughly enjoyed that race as I did. Well, we will see you next week for round 10 of the Psgl F1 Championship. So thanks for watching and see you next time.